Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at the game, the Diofield Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch. Game's also available on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I'll have a link down in the description down below, or you can click on the card that will appear up on this video. And for parents out there, it's worth pointing out that the Diofield Chronicles is rated T for teens, ages 13 and up by the ESRB rating system. One of the things that I've seen Square Enix has done, at least for this generation of consoles, though, basically for the Switch, and even in some degrees the Xbox and the PS5, is we've been seeing them port over or bring over, say, smaller titles, or AA, or niche titles to be exact. Titles that aren't exactly in the same level as, say, like the upcoming Final Fantasy 16 would be. Some of these titles are what we see ranging from Octopath Traveler to Bravely Default 2 to Triangle Strategy to a updated HD 2D version of Live Alive, though. And now we have another one in it, though, that recently came out, I think it was back, a couple of months ago, which is the Diofield Chronicles. And this one kind of caught my attention a little bit because I wanted to give this title a try, especially when they released the demo of the game, though. And after spending time with it on the demo and so forth, I will say that the Diofield Chronicles is an enjoyable title on the Nintendo Switch and a nice addition, even if it has some of its quirks here and there. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off first with the pros. And the first one I do want to talk about is the story. One of the things about it the story that I do like is that I'm getting somewhat of a little bit of a Valkyrian or Valkyria Chronicles vibe out of it. It's a series that's sort of a strategy RPG that was from Sega that was released on the PS3. It got later ported over to other systems like the PS4, the Nintendo Switch, and the recent entry Valkyria Chronicles 4, which is available on multiple consoles. It's basically somewhat get of a little bit of these two warring nations with this one sort of caught in the middle to a certain degree and all that stuff. So in terms of story-wise, I do like some of it, to be exact, though. I definitely like that Valkyria Chronicle vibes that this story kind of gives off in a way, though, even if you're dealing with different groups and everything like that. And the cast's characters are also interesting as well. The next thing I do want to talk about is the gameplay. And I will say, based on my time with the game, both with the demo and with basically with the final version, though, I will say the gameplay feels very similar to, say, Obsidian's Pillars of Eternia, in a way, where you sort of have somewhat of a top-down view or camera angle view, to be exact, though, and your characters will attack in real time, but you can have them do like either special moves, this and that, or move them into certain positions for them to attack those. So it kind of feels a little bit like that game. I remember playing Pillars of Eternia. I mean, some of it here and there, though, so it's a very interesting approach that they decided to do with the Diofield Chronicles, though. You could sort of move each unit. You have like 4 on the battlefield. You can move around, though. However, you do have the ability to move all your units into one area, which is kind of nice. You don't have to constantly move one here, one there, and one here, and then move the next one here and there. You can move all of them at once, though, so it kind of helps a little bit with some of the gameplay, though. But for those who are familiar with games like Pillars of Eternia, you'll definitely see some similarities, though. I'm not saying it outright copies the game completely, though, but there are certainly some similarities here and there. And last but not least, and this is something I like when companies do this, though, whether it was with Valkyria Chronicles 4 or what Square Enix has done before, though, is that any gameplay you did in the demo, if you like the demo, though, can be carried over to the main game. I love when developers do that because it gives you an opportunity to try the game out, and when you decide you want to go full on to purchase a game, if it's something that clicks with you, though, you don't have to like start from scratch from the beginning if you don't want to, though. So I definitely like when Square Enix does this, though, and I would like to see them to do more with a lot of their games coming forward and so forth. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons. So we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my video review of the Diofield Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch. As I mentioned before, the game's also available on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And just like with the pros, there are 3 cons I could talk about. The first one has to do with somewhat of the pacing in the game, though. To me, the game kind of feels very similar to, as I mentioned, one of my favorite games, though, that I enjoy, Valkyria Chronicles, though. And that while the story is interesting, though, it can feel a little bit dragged on every now and then because you have to go through cutscene after cutscene after cutscene to get to basically, the meat of the bone, the gameplay, to be exact. Now, for some, this may not be an issue. If you're okay with those type of games, like I mentioned, how Valkyria Chronicles was, you may not have an issue with the Diofield Chronicles. But for others who want to go hop straight into the game, this could be an issue, though. Personally, I'm not as bothered by this as others might be, but I can see where the pacing might be an issue for some out there, to be exact. The next one I want to talk about is the visuals. And I will say, at least on the Nintendo Switch, though, the visuals are kind of a mixed bag, though. I mean, even though the game visuals don't look bad, even though the game is running on Unreal Engine 4 and all, I mean, it's not terrible, but for the Switch, it's not great either, though. I mean, I've seen other versions of the games, and while I will say it's in the quality of like what Final Fantasy 16 are, you can see how they are a little bit better. So as far as visual goes, the Switch version is obviously the weakest one compared to the other versions, though. But nevertheless, though, the main selling point is the story and the gameplay, though. So visuals kind of somewhat take a back seat, though. Although some of the character designs look pretty nice. I definitely like how it goes for look like some of the costumes feel like something out of the Industrial Revolution and all. So, I mean, so visually, it's sort of a mixed bag. Like I said, not terrible on the Nintendo Switch, but I will say the other versions probably are going to look a little bit better than what the Switch version does, though. And last but not least, in terms of it, is the control. Now, having played this game for a bit on the Nintendo Switch, I will say the game works well with the controller and all. You can still do pretty much everything that you need to do, though. However, based on how everything's all set up, especially with the cursor on the screen and everything, the game definitely feels like it's more at home with a mouse and keyboard setup, the kind of setup that some PC gamers, not all, but some prefer to use and all that stuff, though. Now, that doesn't mean that the game is unplayable with a controller or anything like that. I was still able to do all the actions and commands that I needed to do when playing with the controller, though. But you could definitely see this one feels more at home with a mouse and keyboard setup. And in some ways, I kind of feel like that's sort of a missed opportunity for the Switch version. I mean, imagine if they had you use one of the Joy-Cons where you sort of point on the screen and all and use it to move certain characters here and there, to be exact. So I will say that is a little bit of a missed opportunity. Again, this is a minor con, at least for me, though, because you can still play the game with the controller and it'll be just fine, but I won't deny the fact that this one feels like it was more designed for a mouse and keyboard setup. Overall, I would say the Diofield Chronicles is an enjoyable title for the Nintendo Switch and also for other systems as well, even though it might be more of a smaller / niche title that we've seen Square Enix done this generation. At its best, though, the story has a little bit of a Valkyria Chronicle vibes to it, which is certainly not a bad thing. For me, though, the gameplay is very similar to what you would see from games like Obsidian's Pillars of Eternia, though, and I definitely like the fact that if you enjoy the demo, you can bring this game, you can carry that over to the main game, which is definitely a plus, though. At its worst, though, The pacing or the way it's set up, though, might be a mixed bag for those who don't like the idea of going through cutscene after cutscene until you get to the actual gameplay. Somewhat similar to how I felt with Valkyria Chronicles, though. The visuals, at least on the Nintendo Switch, are somewhat of a mixed bag, though. And while the game still runs fine on using a controller and all, you cannot deny that the way the game is set up feels more at home with a mouse and keyboard. Either way, though, I like how Square Enix does some of these smaller titles, though, whether it's Diofield Chronicles or Lost Sphere or I Am Susumu or Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, or Bravely Default 2. I like when Square Enix does some of these titles as well, and I would like to see more of these titles from Square Enix. As much as I am looking forward to Final Fantasy 16, it's not bad when Square Enix does some of these titles, and especially brings them over to the Nintendo Switch. And if they ever decide to do a sequel to the Diofield Chronicles, I certainly would be down with that. I mean, we're getting an Octopath Traveler 2, so I can't rule out the possibility of a Diofield Chronicles 2 ever happening, though. But either way, though, if you like some of these smaller titles that Square Enix has done, then consider giving Diofield Chronicles a try. If you're not sure about this game, though, consider trying the demo out and see if it's something that clicks with you or not, though. For the Switch, though, it clicked with me just fine. I'm sure the demo will be available on other systems, but this is a game it's worth taking a look at and see if it's something that interests you or not. Okay, this concludes my video review of the Diofield Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the Diofield Chronicles, though? Is it a game that kind of interests you in any way, or is it something of a hard pass at all? Do you plan on getting this game? If you do, which version are you considering picking up? Either the Nintendo Switch version that I took a look at, or is considering the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, or PC version, to be exact, though. And do you like when Square Enix does some of these small titles, whether it's something like the Diofield Chronicles or something like Bravely Default 2 or Octopath Traveler and its sequel, or Live Alive? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I will appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!